What's up, you guys? It's Victoria here from Survivor Season 38, Edge of Extinction, and I'm here just to give a little shout out to one of my favorite podcasts, the Survivor Day After podcast on YouTube. It's hosted by the awesome Joe and Ryan, and you guys should all go check it out. Bye!
Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast.
What's
And
up, guys?
big thanks to Victoria for that amazing intro, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, Vicky B. I was when Joe showed it to me, I was like on set and stuff. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Um, yeah. Victoria knows who we are.
Yeah, isn't that's great. Shouted out our podcast and everything. So yeah, I wanted to make sure just in case I heard some rumors that this might be a double boot episode. I wanted to make sure that we can come in here with something positive. And you know what? I was pleasantly surprised with this last episode. So
I was, it had some like stakes to it. It was like because oh no, I feel like the people that went home, it like made sense, and
yeah,
it sucked to see them go, but at the same time, like you get it, it was part of it.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was definitely two fan favorites, I'd say, out of the season. Like two people who people liked. So
Nasir,
yeah.
I feel bad for him. Everybody was like, kind of saw it coming. I don't think Xander would have. Well, I mean, here's the thing about the advantages. Xander still has his extra vote, right?
Yeah, he's the only one with the extra votes.
I mean, it's a little tricky because like he could have played it and then tied it up, but at the same time, with I mean, if you have to revote, it could tie again, and then you're guaranteed to get one of the others out
Yeah.
because he's immune. They lose. They can't be voted off. Both. Was it Deshaun that was getting votes? Or
I can't remember.
I think it was Liana.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It was Liana.
because being Shan's number two
Mhm.
or number one. It varies from episode to episode.
Yeah.
Uh, but they could have tied the vote, and then it could have been either Danny, Deshaun, or yeah, Danny or Deshaun,
Yeah.
and you taken
Would
out
have been
one.
crazy. Those are two of the biggest players in the game, and that could have
The craziest thing, and I think this just goes even more to his credit. Danny's name was mentioned. I was
I
like,
know. It is crazy. We've never seen an athlete be able to go on here and not need to win immunities
not
to
even mentioned. Granted,
yeah.
I get it from the beginning, like, he won immunity for his tribe. Like the blue
Mhm.
team, pretty much swept that. So he didn't have to like worry about it.
Mhm.
But once he got to the merge and stuff, like still nothing. And the thing is, another thing I kind of just noticed, him and Deshaun are not missing any meals.
Yeah.
Anytime there is food,
They've gone to every rewards.
exactly. I mean, except for the, rice thing, but that was like totally different.
Uh,
But look, they ain't missing any meals.
exactly. And I think Danny it might be losing these immunities on purpose.
It's possible.
Because that's what Jeremy Collins did. And Danny McRae has said that Jeremy Collins is the person he's trying to emulate the most on the season. So it's very possible that he's losing these early immunities just so that way he can kind of go under the radar and gets the around like final seven stuff. That's when you start seeing a lot more of the bigger
Yeah.
kind of challenges, and that's where he'd shine over the balanced ones in general. So save yourself for those ones.
And it's like, because he's like definitely in the best position in the
Mm.
game because especially who wins immunity next episode, because and we see it in this episode, Shan and Deshaun are having that falling out. Like this alliance was starting to get fractured. Like the fracture started last episode. It
Mhm.
got even more so this one. I mean, I feel like if both tribals were together, we would have seen this, falling out a bit earlier. But like because it was like split apart, and they weren't on the same tribe that was going to tribal council.
Mhm.
We got a little bit of a delay on that, but the cracks are definitely being shown.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's definitely interesting kind of seeing this go on now. I will say the last few episodes have been pretty good. I gotta say.
Yeah.
And that's that's the theme I think with the season is we get a couple good episodes and then we get a train wreck of an episode and then we get a couple more good episodes and then we get a train wreck of an episode.
Like this time around, they're easing up on the twist. I mean, the double elimination episode, that's kind of like a staple in modern.
Yeah, that one's fine. Like I think because you expect it. I think it's not something that just comes out of nowhere and actually actively makes the game worse for most people.
If anything, it gives people on the bottom kind of like a chance to like shake things up, like the first tribal council.
Exactly.
When I was watching that, I was like, all right, who would plausibly be the best choice? And Heather was, but at the same time, Ricard said it best. Like, do you really want to waste this opportunity to get rid of Heather? And I think Heather is, going to be in like the final three because like she's like who would I'm not saying she could turn around and be like amazing, but like right now, like she's on the bottom and it's like who even then, like, it's like the people that are on the bottom, like, Erica has a better story. Xander has the best story of like people that are on quote unquote bottom. And the tide is about to change as we have seen.
How crazy would it be if Heather wins because of this? She gets to the end thinking she's a goat, and then she gets to the end with like two unlikable people and wins.
The season goes down if it like. Here's the thing, because now that it is final 8, past the halfway mark, I'm looking at everyone's win conditions, and the people with the best ones is number 1, I believe, Danny. And Deshawn, you kind of put it in my brain last episode, but like the whole thing, like how they are kind of like a newer version of Dom and Wendell. I'm kind of like seeing that play out a bit more, where they're definitely big threats, but no one's really hardcore going after them.
Yeah, we are gonna have someone go for them next week, with Chantel.
Yeah. And there is something to say with Nasir's elimination, since it was first and he had to join the jury, like stuff like that does set a tone. And Danny kind of put it best, where it was like, oh, Nasir thought he was safe. Yeah. So like, and that's kind of like the interesting thing, because like, if you're ever in that position where you're going to tribal first, you can really shake up the game with not just like voting out your target, but doing something to mess with the other tribal if you plan it really well. And I have like a big theory about something very, very ingenious.
Oh yeah.
So I'm already gonna say it. The player of the week, in my opinion, is Ricard.
Yeah, I actually pegged Ricard now as the winner for the season after that episode.
Because not only did he controlled Shan, which like maybe Shan is showing some character development, but like he's always trying to get people to play their advantages, and with his ally, because there was no reason for them to use the extra vote at all, because worst case scenario, Nasir plays an idol and it's a little awkward. It's like everyone knows where the advantages are. Jeff even called it out. It's like, why does everyone know?
Yeah.
But it's like, it was like there was no reason, because like with so little people, you kind of know who has what, and then you kind of wasted your extra vote. Like if Shan was on the bottom, then I would totally understand. But like,
Yeah.
Ricard,
I will say, there is a reasoning to it that is very, I don't want to go into all of it, but there is actually a way that makes a lot of sense that she used her extra vote there, because you created this vote split, because she knew how the votes were laying out. So even if something was trying to go and they were trying to flip it over onto a Chantel, her extra vote actually was creating a situation where it would still tie the vote, even if Erica and Heather flipped it over onto her. So there is a very like if they were gunning for her, this would have been a great move actually. But because they weren't gunning for her, it looks like she used her extra vote when she didn't need to.
I feel like, but all right, the thing about advantages, sometimes it's not about when you play them, it's when you don't play them.
Yeah.
One of them, Xander, who's been holding on to it for the longest.
And the longer you go in the game with an extra vote, the more power it gets. Like if he gets to final 5 with that extra vote, that's crazy.
Extra vote and an idol, like those are dangerous things, and those are things that usually come into play in something like this. When it's like this few people. So I think more so it was like Ricard trying to get, her to play the advantage, because now.
Well, Ricard didn't want her to play the advantage. Remember, he was actually saying, "You don't need to, don't do that. It's like, you don't need to use it." And she was like, "I need to use my extra votes."
No, Ricard was coaxing her to do it.
When? Because not definitely not before. Because there's a whole scene about him not wanting her to do it.
This episode.
Yeah. This episode.
That's what I meant. I think he's a little bit wiser about, like, not necessarily giving Shan, or more so of like not letting Shan have so much power in all of this.
I think you might need to go back, because Ricard there was definitely another moment where Shan and Ricard had a little bit of a "you don't need to do it" moment, and it's still.
That was whether or not to get off, Heather.
No, it was still for the extra vote, because he did not want Rick Shan to use the extra vote in this situation. He said, "You don't need to. You're fine." But Shan's paranoia insisted that she still uses it.
No,
I'm like 99% sure here.
I'm like 100% sure.
Yeah, well, it's also because I've listened to other podcasts and they've talked about this as well. So
just watch the episode.
Yeah, I don't know. We can go back and watch it again, but yeah, I'm pretty sure.
If it so happens to be that, I'll admit if I was wrong, but right now, no.
Okay.
But yeah, it's but I think Ricard is trying to get, a lot of these things out of play, because one, what he did was he eliminated 2 different advantages at once in one council. He got rid of Nasir's idol, because since that's a, tribe idol back in the day, it's something that is not going to respawn in the game.
Yeah.
And then also getting rid of the extra vote, because who knows if they're going to do another, prisoner's dilemma. I think like that might be just straight up retired.
Yeah. I don't honestly imagine us going back there. Maybe near the end, like and how they went back to like Island of Idols, like brought everyone there. Like I can imagine maybe an expedition like near the end going there, but I don't see anything else being used there.
Yeah, I agree. Especially since this was episode 9. Episode 12 is like the finale. So like there's like 2 more episodes that gives us the final 6. So at this point, maybe there's no final 2 like I predicted, but
Yeah, I have been hearing though, we potentially might get a finale with 5 people, which we haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, but it depends. If it's like 12 episodes and then the finale, which is kind of what we usually get, but we'll see. unless they do another double elimination, which it is possible, but at this point, maybe not. I feel like that was a theory I had, and it might just not pan out. I mean, it's not going to hurt my enjoyment if it doesn't, because,
Uh,
it's just how Survivor usually is. But, like,
mhm.
I feel like the final three is the way they are going this time around.
Yeah, that's what I'd imagine. But I mean, this is only day 17 still. We still
Nine
got
more
some.
days.
Yeah.
9 more days of Survivor. Yeah. What are some other things like in this episode that we can?
Um.
The stew. There is one
Yeah.
thing. I know they hyped up the stew and stuff, but Xander picked up like a neck in
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
granted, I don't know too much about cooking stew and stuff, but usually you try and remove the neck when you're making food.
hmm
Um,
Yeah, definitely not the best shots of it. I mean,
very
obviously
neck
they're
food.
hungry out there. They're finally getting like a lot of protein out of this,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
Well,
good.
for sure, Danny and Sean, they're just like they've gained weight on the island.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. Danny, Deshaun, and Xander, a bunch of challenge beasts here. Honestly, I think just got a pretty good meal for the next community challenge. So we'll see if that helps them with that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Ugh.
That's
Now,
nice.
what else? I don't have my notes with me because I have to like bounce pretty much after this, but
Yeah.
also
Oh, I guess we can also say Heather has finally is avoiding a purple edit moving forward. She's actually been getting some screen time.
because there's less people.
Yeah.
Uh, and like the same person in her
I,
archetype
I
also.
will say I actually think she had a good episode this week. She didn't have a bad episode. Her crying to convince Nasir to not play the idol, like to really make it seem like she knows that she's going home.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, and another note, I guess, Nasir was very, very like trusting and going forward with, you know, his like alliance because that just seemed like what made sense.
Mhm.
And, to stick together because that was the plan. And I feel Danny, in the same regard, has that same kind of like loyalty mentality.
Mhm.
So, granted, Danny is probably the safest mofo.
Yeah.
They might realize, oh crap, if we let Danny go too far, because he has no advantages.
Yeah.
He's good at challenges, but like right now they don't perceive him. Well, they perceive him as a physical threat. However, he's doing his best to avoid that. But
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
in
gonna
their mind, it's just like, but he's Danny. He's great. It's like, like
the time's gonna come when they're gonna know, and especially after this shakeup that's gonna happen next episode, where the chips fall and everything. Because I feel part of it is gonna be based on who wins immunity, as
yeah.
well as the people that are on the bottom, being Xander, Erica, and Heather.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it, it's divided into the split is divided into two. There's the Ricard, Shan, and Liana part of the fracture, and then
Mhm.
there's Deshaun and Danny part of the fracture.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, like I told you, I've been Shan's cheerleader.
Mhm. Yeah,
Right now
we like Shan, but
I don't see a win condition for her
yeah.
now,
Yeah.
unfortunately. For
Yeah.
Ricard, yes, because but for Ricard, I can see one.
Mhm. Yeah,
But for
well, it's because I think Ricard has done a great thing of he's a part of the strategy of Shan, but I think she's soaking up a lot of the tension and the kind
she's
of like a lot of people are going to be, I think, more bitter towards her than Ricard at the end
because
of the day.
her downfall is she wears her heart on her sleeve and she doesn't
Mhm.
hide her emotions.
Mhm.
And you see it. It's like her way. And Ricard, yes, convinced her to like
Yeah.
Convince her, to
Yeah,
use.
I will say I'm a little worried for Ricard in this next episode because it seems like Danny and Deshawn are not targeting Shan next episode, but it seems like they want to take out Ricard to make Shan lose power.
It could be a misdirection, though.
Yeah, it's true.
And we don't know. Perhaps that's part of the thing of like maybe Shan wins immunity.
Exactly. Or she's just like, I'm playing my idol. I just want to make it through the next day. Maybe she lets that come out or something.
Maybe it's a little tricky because like, all right, so yeah, there's definitely going to be a divide, and there's definitely going to be like something where shit's going to hit the fan, and this alliance are going to collapse on itself, which is great for Xander and Erica, but like it could be like what they did with like Xander in the beginning, where they had to like take down like Tiffany because they wanted to goat them into having the idol. And that's another thing that Jeff brought up. It was like, why is no one really like truly targeting the people with advantages? And it's like, because, well, I have an advantage, and if I hear my name coming up, I'm going to use it on you. I guess that's the trickiest thing, because the safest thing is to vote someone else, because in this season we are seeing like people are holding on to their advantages, well, their idols at least.
It's an interesting dynamic now that they've there's so many advantages and stuff. It's like there's now a divide that's happening by who's got advantages. Like get the advantages together and take out who doesn't have advantages. Like they don't want to make any moves against the people who have advantages this season, except they finally get one against Nasir.
Yeah, which good on them, because that was like, in my head, that was the best move and the most logical decision, because
I gotta say, it was hilarious seeing Nasir's face when the votes tied, and he knew immediately what was going on. He was just like, "Are you kidding me?" It was,
it was sad, but speaking of which, so there's no way for me to win our game now.
Yeah, I don't think because Nasir goes out first. So
I did the math, because like because I have 3 people left: Shan, Erica, and Heather. Now, if all 3 of them made it to the final 3, I end up with 62 points. But and so I compared it to you. So if the next 5 eliminations are the rest of your people, you still come out ahead at 67. So you have 5 points ahead of me, even if I have the final.
Well, I was planning on giving a few extra points to the winner, like a few extra bonus points, because I feel like that's a bigger deal. So.
All right, so it would have to be like.
So legit, it has to be those final 3 now, pretty much.
Well, I mean, how many extra points? Because like, if it's 5, we end up with a tie.
Yeah.
So it would have to be more than 5 for it to be like not out of the woods yet.
Okay. Well, just for the sake of making it interesting, that's the new thing is if those 3 make it to the end, you win.
I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah, I'll do better in season 42, but
season 42.
Because I think because we pretty much talked about everything this episode, because like it was like isolated and good chunks of everything. But win condition wise, there is a way that Erica could, but it's a bit trickier. It is like Xander has to be out, and she really has to put up a fight and make her case. Well, depending on who's left.
I think there's a few scenarios where she can win. Like I gotta say, like we've been wanting a woman winner, but I don't think that this season's happening again. I think this season's
there's still a 50-50 shot. It's just Heather, I don't see it happening. Shan she just has to really, really turn it
Yeah,
around.
I think she's the classic big character kind of player of the season that's going to get a big edit and people are going to like, but doesn't win.
Liana, I can see her winning as like if it's a vengeful jury, but I don't really.
I can't even see that. I really think that she's burned a lot of bridges.
Yeah, and then so I feel like Erica is the front runner for a female winner right now.
Yeah, and that really is like it's going to be it would be a surprise winner still. Like it's not.
Yeah,
It's not like, oh, I clearly see Erica's game and where it's going.
The way I see it, the best scenario for the people on the bottom, which would be Erica. It's funny to say on the bottom because they make up 3 people.
Yeah.
So Erica, Xander, and Heather, you know, they make up a 3. And so like their best thing would be to go with Dan and Deshaun, because that way it's a 3-2. And they have better odds of like taking over that than, you know, especially since Xander can win immunity and stuff, you know, and Erica is no like stranger to like you know, holding out. I mean, she won immunity here.
Yeah, we've seen that she is already close to Deshaun. Like back on the Lulu Beach, like that was the person that she had confided in on wanting to take out Sydney originally. Yeah. So
and even Xander is like, you know, granted they were on the same like travel for this, but like, you know, reaching out to Danny and Deshaun because like he knows that they are the ones running the game. So it's, you know, like I definitely see them leaning towards that way. And then Liana, Ricard, and Shan are, you know, kind of the odd ones out. Because this game has been pretty relentless with people on the bottom, the exception being Nasir. So yeah, I think we pretty much went over everything. I think we have a good understanding of like the front runners of who are going to win this game.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's your main pick? Let's talk real quick, I guess. Who would be your main pick right now? Who you think is winning the season?
Danny.
You think Danny?
Because not only is he playing from the top, not being mentioned, it doesn't really have too much blood on his hand. He's also very charismatic, a likable guy, and he hasn't really had beef with anyone. And he's proven to go the loyal route, which is like, say what you want, but like, it's so common to like want to like blindside one of your closest allies and stuff. But he's been playing a loyal game, which means, you know, less blood on your hands, less likely that someone will be vengeful. And if he goes to the end with 0 votes against him, it's always, you know, it always speaks to it.
Yeah.
Even if you're a goat, it's still a selling point. And especially like with, I feel like Danny has a better shot than Deshaun in a sense. I feel like Deshaun.
I could see Deshaun getting to the end but not getting the votes, like enough votes to win. I could see him getting that far. But I feel like if Danny makes it to the end, I think he's got a very good chance of winning.
Yeah, I still think Deshaun has like a pretty good chance. I'd say it really depends on if he betrays Danny.
Yeah.
And who's sitting with him at the end, because like there is still like a thing of like if Deshaun makes some really big moves, then yeah, I can see him beating Danny, but it really depends, because I don't think Shan in any conceivable universe will be like voting for him.
Yeah, it will be crazy. This season will be crazy if Shan ends up being the winner of it. I will say it will be like a Tony Vlachos win at Cagayan. Like we never thought could happen.
It would have to be a complete 180, and I think you know, Heather and Liana would have to be with her. In order for that. And I'm not saying like, oh, Liana's a bad player. It's just like her game has not been very wow right now. I mean, no, I'm not, you know, it's just like both of their games are not very wow. I mean, even with Erica, you know, starting from, you know, like from the like, merge and like having it kind of rough being on the bottom, name has always been mentioned.
Mhm.
So it's we'll see. We'll definitely
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. I'd say my winner pick now is Ricard. I actually really saw his when the we got a lot more personal content with him again today. With him and his hearing thing. For some reason they zoomed in really hard on his ear when he was talking about it. Like, we don't need to like we know what you're talking about. You don't need to, do
And
anything
kind of
crazy.
muted everything a little bit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like an interesting fact about him.
Yeah.
But I do think Ricard, I'd say he's either 3 or 4. I do think that Xander can really turn it around,
Yeah.
because if he goes on if he sweeps like the rest of the immunity challenges.
Yeah. Well,
after,
I think Xander could win. I just think that something that he's going to come up just short or something like that,
I definitely see
or potentially get some bitter juries. I don't know.
I don't think there's going to be a bitter jury, because what did he necessarily do wrong? He was on the bottom.
Yeah.
Of course, he has to play the game. He never I'd say the only thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm worried. I'm worried if Liana goes to the jury in the next few votes, because Liana, like how juries work is, you don't want the people who hate you to go there early in the jury phase, because that means they're going to impact everyone's decisions moving forward, because they're going to be constantly talking, crap about everyone.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about shit talkers, though.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Leonis is. We did definitely see her, being like, "Oh, I hate his face" and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Damn, he's just playing a game. Calm down."
I know,
But
right?
that's the thing. If you know someone is a shit talker and stuff, you kind of just nod and like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, I don't think Liana would sway a jury against Xander, because like right now he's playing from the bottom, he's holding on to his idol, he still has an extra vote, and he's finding different ways to make it to the next week.
Mm-hmm.
He's hella likable. I feel like
Yeah, I'm just wondering how likable he is on the island compared to how he is on the TV, because like he's super likable for us. Like that is very clear that we're supposed to be rooting for him.
He's still very generous and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, like if we're talking about his actions, giving up challenges or giving up like, a chance to like, win a reward, stuff like that. And like,
but you did see some people have the reaction, like, like a Sean was just like, oh, like rolled his eyes, because he like it's still very clear, like that for some people that might be looked at as currying favor, and whenever it seems like you're currying favor, it can sometimes do the opposite of currying favor. I'm not. Yeah, I hope Xander gets the end and gets the respect. I'm just saying.
I feel like it's a thing where, I mean, I feel like that's kind of like life in general. Even if you do a nice thing, and you knowingly know, this could. I mean, like, I feel like with any good deed out there, there's always like a hint of like getting some sort of return out of it, even if it's just like befriending someone. Like, us as human beings, like, we're taught in acting school, everyone wants something. Now a want is not a bad thing. Like, I want a friend. That's not a bad thing. People, having friends are a good thing. Like, it's just like, he's a Christian boy, he does things from the goodness of his heart. So, and he's young, and he's like, I wouldn't say naive. It's just, he's still new to the world and everything. So he still has like the young protagonist energy about him. So I think he's, like, I do feel like even if, people are like, oh, he's pandering to it. If we look at his gameplay and how, like the moves he's done way back from even the Yasa tribe, he's doing a good job of like having like advantages, holding on to them, and doing good in challenges. Like, he is a triple threat. The only thing is he's a big target because he's quote unquote perfect.
Yeah, he's almost gonna have to Rick Devens it, I think. Where Rick Devens had to kind of face that giant majority and get to the end. Xander's in a similar spot, at least right now. Though I don't think he's in the crosshairs for this next episode. So
to sit back for a tribal and watch the implosion happen, and then he's good, and then though I would say, like, if our theory about Danny is right, and like he's saving it for the for the final challenges and stuff. We're at 8. There's 5 immunity challenges left that we know of.
Yeah.
Now is the time to like really crank it up.
I feel like in Danny's position, he should try to take out Xander, because you want to get to like a final 6 scenario with not a lot of challenge competitors to take you on if you're someone like Danny.
Exactly. So like next time it might not even be Deshaun that Shan targets. This could be Danny, because thinking about that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I'm still I still like Danny. Like I would love to see my first prediction of the winner be the correct one here again. It would be crazy. I'm still not sold 100% on it. I think he's playing one of the best games out there. But based on I guess especially edits, I'm not sure if he's going to be the winner yet. But also this season's been doing a lot of new things in editing. So they've been hiding. I think they're hiding the winner until like the last couple episodes, and then they'll make it like, then they'll just be like, here's the very clear winner edits.
I don't think it's as obvious this season. Now, it may be early on, but that's because UA had such a big edit because they kept losing.
Yeah.
If we're looking at who was one of the first people introduced, Danny, from like the boat ride in, who's had a lot of like hero moments, Danny. It's like, that's a big one. Xander is also having like that same kind of edit. Deshaun, still getting a lot of like, still getting a decent chunk of edit, even though he wasn't like getting a lot of screen time in the early, because Blue Tribe kept winning. But
and they could have totally, when Danny was upset about the hourglass twist, they totally could have edited in a way where they were like dunking on Danny for even being upset that this is a twist now, like, but they kind of didn't. They kind of still had to be kind of more even footing ground in terms of him and Deshaun there. So
it can play any number of ways there. I mean, the edit always that's the thing, because like we only see so little of actual Survivor, and like way back in Pearl Islands, they were like, oh, they showed Rupert's a lot of his best moments and a lot of my worst moments. I mean, that's what any edit is. It's like controlling the narrative. Because Nasir has had like moments like, oh, telling someone they're going home is a big no-no. Like, because he's honest and stuff, like, is it kind of a dick move? Yeah, but not everyone, but that's what happened, and that's him being like an honest and loyal guy.
Because he had known Heather this entire time. They've been on the same beach every day. So man. Okay, so who would you say is the worst player this season, or of this episode?
All right.
Of this episode, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that one yet. I might go just Nasir, to be honest, because
going with an idol.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I would say that, because especially like, it is interesting because this is also the first time we haven't seen with the split, something is always played. Something is always played, because like you don't want to get eliminated this episode.
Yeah.
And anything can happen, which is why I love the Sling Tribe episode, because it's like it really shakes things up, and
Mhm.
Nasir's elimination really shakes up the game, because like it was like a chink in the armor that showed that that majority alliance is fractured, because like they can't say that Heather played an idol, because everyone knows Heather doesn't have an idol.
Yeah, everyone knows Nasir has the idol. So everyone now knows that an idol has just been taken out of the game.
Exactly. So yeah, it's it's going to be interesting going forward, and I expect fireworks, explosions,
Yeah.
Project Mayhem.
Yeah. Who would you say is the MVP of this episode?
Oh, I already said it. Ricard.
Yeah, Ricard. Okay, yeah.
Though, like, we have to like review that episode, and like, I'll admit you might be right, because like you said, you've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I just watched it, so pretty fresh in both of our minds.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
well, yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty sure that last week also the preview was about this. Was about the actual was Ricard Stein saying you don't need to play your extra votes.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll send you a screenshot of it happening.
I'm someone that'll admit when he's wrong.
Yeah.
If that is the case, accept it. And I still think Ricard is MVP regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's great. I think he's in a great position. Was able to kind of be on the same level as Shan. I think he's actually taken over now some more of the reins actually of that duo, which is great. Like I imagine it's going to be constantly doing this. I think that's just their relationship is they're both people who need to be in charge of this, and they're that it's harder when you got two people like that.
Yeah, I find it interesting too, and I think this speaks levels to like relationships in general, not just alliances, that even though they realize they don't always like get along, they still stick with each other, because they I think that's like kind of like an interesting thing, because he wasn't like, oh, let me take out Shan. It was like Nasir, even though Shan is the bigger threat and wild card. So like it speaks levels that Ricard is also loyal to like his number one, even if his number one. It's kind of like when your best friend, he's your best friend, but you're not his best friend. It's kind of like that scenario, but he's still your best friend because it feels a little bit like that, and that's kind of what's going on with this alliance between Ricard, Shan, and Liana.
It's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see what plays out next week.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think that pretty much covers it, right?
We got everything. Thank you once again, Victoria. It warmed my heart seeing the cameo. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So there's a few other cameos that I might want to get later on. Specifically one from someone who was on Survivor Guatemala.
I swear. No.
No, I thought about next season us putting a bet on the line, and if I win again, you got to get the you got to help pitch in for the Danny Boatwright cameo. Put some money on the line.
I will. All right. That sounds fair. So I feel like, I mean, I guess we can talk about this for a little bit. Like, did Victoria like watch any of our things, or like did you mention anything about like that she was on her?
I just mentioned the podcast and was just like, hey, it'd be awesome to have a great shout out, and
nice.
She did.
Who knows? Maybe she'll watch it. She'll be a fan.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but oh my god, Danny Boatwright. If Danny Boatwright will hate me because it's so
Yeah.
much. It's her as a player and the edit. It's not her as a person.
Yeah.
I need to clarify that.
Yeah, honestly, there's like almost every Survivor player has a cameo now.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it's like I'm not sure how much of the cameo they make, but like if you can make like let's say it's even half that, if you can make $10 from making a short video, it's like
Yeah,
why not?
exactly. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
So yeah.
not by the way.
So yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode of the Day After podcast.
All right, peace out, guys. See you next week.